What's up guys, I'm Kada, and in this video I want to talk about the new SSR Selection Banner that we just got on Global. This banner has a character that probably some of you guys that summon on Boxo are really waiting for, so let's get started. Alright, so the first character that I want to talk about, Semi. He's another settler from Shiratorizawa, and if you guys watch the anime or read the manga, Semi is a really good pinch server. His first, third, and ultimate skills are focused on serving, and his second skill is a normal set. So this character is only useful as a pinch server if your main setter is not very good at serving, which most of the setters in this game are, so he's kinda useless. Next up, we got a character that people that have Ushijima were probably waiting for, and it's the Libero from Shiratorizawa, Yamagata. A lot of people were waiting for this character because it's one of the easiest pieces to fit into a Shiratorizawa team without losing the possibility of having a strong UR as your setter, middle blocker, or wing spiker. So for you guys that want the Shiratorizawa school bond, you may consider Yamagata as an option. Talking a bit about his skills, Yamagata focuses on reflex and save as his main sell point. Skill 1 increases his reflex by 13%, skill 2 is a save with 120% of his save stat. His skill 3 is a passive that increases his save stat by 40% if the opponent's block is perfect. And in my opinion, this is his best skill because this passive makes him really good at covering your healers, preventing the opponent from getting block kills. And then his ultimate is a serve receive with 235% of his receive stat. And the last but not least, we got AKAASHI, the new setter from Fukurodani, and I'm gonna keep it real, if you have Bokuto you should get him since he's the only character that can get Bokuto out of his depressing mode with their deployment skill. The only reason for you to not get AKAASHI is if you also have your Arakawa, since he has way more stats and is a better setter overall. Going over his skills, he has a deployment bond with Bokuto, as I mentioned before, that gets Bokuto out of his depressing mode so that he can use skills to spike again. His first skill is a passive that once an ally achieves a perfect block or receive, cleanses all the buffs applied to that player. Additionally, this skill increases Akashi's awareness by 8% and team morale by 3. His second skill is a dump that cannot be blocked. If Akashi scores a point with this skill, the power of your next serve is increased by 10% of the serving player's serve stat. His third skill increases Akashi's set stat by 8%, and while Team Morale Awakening is active, for every 4 morale gain, Akashi's awareness increased by 1.2%. Additionally, when Akashi performs a critical set, your next spike is guaranteed to also be critical. And then his ultimate skill is a set with 240% of his set stat. So now that we already went over their kits, I want to talk about some teams that you can use with them. There won't be many teams in this video, just because there's not many things to say, to be honest. One of the characters, their main role is just to serve, so they'll spend most of their time in the bench and only come in to serve and then get out. If you're going for a school bond other than Shiratorizawa, Yamagata is not really a good option for you as your Libero, because for me, the Libero position, while we don't have SP Nishinaya and you are Komori, is just a personal preference of which school bond you're trying to play with. Alright, so this first team is Shiratorizawa school bond with the combo of Oikawa and Iwaizumi. Obviously, it works well because Oikawa is really good with Ushijima and Iwaizumi. Then we have Tendo that has a deployment bond with Ushijima. And then we have Ohira and Yamagata to fill out the Shiratorizawa school bond. And they are also a more defensive option since you already have really good firepower with Ushijima, Iwaizumi, and Oikawa. And then right here in the bench have Semi, even though you're probably not using him in this team with Oikawa. But if you have, like, for example, another setter, let's say AKAASHI, just because he's on the new selection banner, AKAASHI doesn't have a good serve, so if you want, you can pull Semi and use him as a pinch server instead of AKAASHI. If you have Oikawa, you should not worry about Semi. And then I have here some other options for you to use. You can also switch your setter, switch the wing spiker. You can go with Ohira and Goshiki, or Iwaizumi and Goshiki. So this is the team I will be doing if I pull Yamagata. If not, I'll just stick with my Yaku and just call it a day until Korai is available. Going over to the second team, I have an option if you want to play Semi as your main setter. Please do not do this. This is just stupid. He is not intended to be a setter to play on court, so do not do this. And I also included some options here, just like for the other teams if you want Yaku as your Libero. And he also has a bond with Liev. Also there's Nishinai and Tanaka if you want. It's just more like kind of showing other options. And if you want to play Semi as a setter, again, don't do that. Third team, we're finally jumping over to AKAASHI and Bokuto, the main duo from this like last 2 weeks, and will probably be a really strong core for, I don't know, the next 6 months, something like that. So obviously we still don't have the other players from Fukurodani, so I would say this is like one of the best teams that you can make right now on global if you're going for AKAASHI and Bokuto. We also have Ushijima, Tendo is a must as well, so these 4 are really strong because they have their deployment bonds and they are just overall good characters. And then the other options are just like kind of whatever you want or whatever characters you have. I have right here 2 characters that are free basically if you pick Tanaka on your beginner banner. Beginner recruit, I don't know what the name is. Then I have Tsuki that is free, and Nishinaya just because he has a Molodoy Tanaka. But you could honestly go Yaku, you could go Yamagata, and then go another player from Shirato Izawa like Hiro Goshiki. So if you don't have Ushijima, you can obviously go for Daichi as your opposite, and then you're running Karasuno, and then you can also like go for Kuro or some other middle blocker like Liev, Aone. You get the point. And finally, the last team is kind of like a future team because you cannot build it right now since we only have Bokuto and AKAASHI from Fukurodani. We don't have Washio, Konoha, and their libero. So if you want any of these 3 Fukurodani characters to build a Fukurodani team, then I would say in a month we are guaranteed to have them on global, because I think the next 2 SSR Selection Banners will be a mix of Fukurodani characters and the Narizaki characters. Now, talking about the team, really strong and really good for free-to-play players. You only basically need Bokuto if you're going for the UR version. Obviously, there are the SP version of Bokuto and AKAASHI. There's a little bit more investment, but as of right now, this will probably be one of the best teams if you're a free-to-play or a newer player, because you can compete really well against other teams. You also have the option of the libero. Let's say you have Ushijima, then you would play Ushijima and Tendo, something like this, and then you can go for the Fukurodani libero, and you still have the Fukurodani Gulbon, and you also have the combo of Ushijima and Tendo. Then obviously you have other options as a ring spiker, you have Ohira, you have Goshiki. All the characters are options, to be honest. Lastly, if you want to know about their memories, I have this video that is showing on screen where I talk about the best memories in the game, including memories from the JP server. So that's all I wanted to say for today. As always, take care. Bye.